I've been online as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories involve the internet. It has had a ubiquitous presence within my life. Many tender memories have been shared with people who I'll only ever know as an array of colours emitting from a blue screen in a dark room. It's easier to talk to people online. I often feel isolated within my local art community. I've never been the type to look at my surroundings for inspiration. I look at art that responds to the artist's environment and it all feels foreign. But as I navigate Second Life, I see hundreds of people who've found belonging. The beauty of the internet lies in its ability to connect people from across the globe. Second Life is an online virtual world created in 2003 by San Francisco-based firm Linden Lab. Linden Lab have stated that Second Life is not a game. There's no manufactured conflict and no set objective. Second Life is a platform where players can socialize and share their creations among each other. Users create an avatar, which becomes an abstract representation of themselves within the world. There's no limitations within Second Life. The user may be whoever they want to be and experience social interactions impossible within the real world. Second Life is renowned for its intricate economy. Linden's, the game's virtual currency, is currently listed on many Forex websites. Second Life facilitates the conversion between Linden's and US dollars. Nothing is free within Second Life. If you want Linden's, you'll have to work for them. Users can generate a livable wage from their actions within Second Life. In 2006, Ange Chung claimed to be Second Life's first millionaire, amassing a virtual real estate empire worth over $1 million US dollars. It's only natural that art is commodified within Second Life. Second Life is a social game, and much like real life, people want their avatars to stand out from the crowd, and they can achieve this through acquisition of prestigious virtual cosmetics.
I've been producing art in Second Life for 11 years. I came in World because it seemed like a fun thing to do, but soon found that there was a thriving writers community here and I joined Inch. Started going to poetry readings and then it went from there. The poetry led to me doing my own poetry events, and that led me to making posters and doing more art stuff. Like the poetry posters I did for this show. People wouldn't find SL stimulating if they wanted to be alone. It is a friendly environment. The poetry readings I first attended were welcoming, and I definitely make good friends here. I was already writing fiction when I came into SL. Well, I'd written my first novel. But I met someone here who was very active in writers' events, and she read one of my short stories and suggested I try my hand at poetry. Which I did. A number of other people here had RL publishing interests, and that led to me finding a publisher and getting my fiction and poetry out there. So it's been very supportive, amazing really. It is also supportive here. People come to my events, seems to like what I do, and give me their opportunity of trying out my work in public.
Does role-playing inform your art production within Second Life?
I was very interested. That might have done when I first came here. I thought I would try to have a Second Life. When I was first published in RL, I was worried that the two worlds might clash, and I wondered if I was using SL for a hidden life. I felt strange about it. But I decided to be quite open about my role in both worlds. It was like a form of coming out. Now I really don't feel there's any role playing. Well, apart from our avatars tending to look like idealized humans. Other people keep their RL hidden, and that's fine too, but expressing yourself through art does tend to reveal who you are. SL, I think, can help people to be more honest about themselves in world, and, hopefully, if they have repressed characteristics, these can be expressed in RL too, eventually. It really is a place that can be therapy as well as creative, and fun. my avatar a bit like one of my characters once. It was quite interesting to see how that impacted. I think it definitely helped to know how someone like that had difficulties fitting in. He was not great socially and consequently very direct, without any real small talk, and he dressed in an old-fashioned way for his age. It was very interesting. One of the problems of having a relatively public persona here in SL is I am pretty well stuck with who I am. I was happy to be absolutely honest about who I am in both worlds. I do believe I am one person. It's a good feeling, actually. I am not sure if anyone does that consciously, producing art as an extension of their avatar. Maybe, but they are still really expressing themselves. I think many of their avatars are extensions of their art and themselves. It's difficult to say, of course.
Do you believe there is a stigma against Second Life?
Yes. People don't really understand it. There were some news stories about people having bad relationships and emotional problems because of virtual worlds, and Second Life did get a bad press. That has stuck a bit, I think. I have tried to be open about SL and RL when talking about being a writer. I owe it a debt and don't want to hide that. I think we are generally pretty supportive of each other. This exhibition has shown that. I think the atmosphere between the artists has been really comradely. There's nothing here that doesn't exist in RL. Except we can travel further, have no real financial restrictions, or, really, many limits to the imagination. In that was you can have a second life here as an artist, but it also can, if you let it, parallel your real life.
I go for walks on the beach and sometimes take my camera with me. I do sculpture because I like making sculpture. I like getting my hands in the sand. I like touching the sculpture, rubbing the curves the way I want them to, carving the sand, being on the beach, making stuff directly. A hand on the sand. If I had a beach that was protected so that I could spend several days on a multiple sculpture, I would love to make big multiples. But you can't do that around here because sculptures won't even last 10 minutes after I leave them. I have met some interesting people there. I think it's harder now. So many people on the beach are on cell phones that I'm not sure how much they actually see anymore. The last couple of sculptures I've done, people haven't paid that much attention. It kind of surprises me just how interested people become in sand sculpture in Second Life. Partly because I have an effective way to display them. The event at Fantasy Fair came up because Wolfie and I, I've read a lot of my sand sculpture poetry at Wolfie's, and so he kept asking me, well, can you show some pictures? And so one night we just, after the surf, I set up one of these displays there and just started showing some sand sculpture and reading poetry. And the people there just were fascinated.
I was first dressed in November of 2008. I did take a break for about 7 years though, and just recently returned to SL. I did have a shop for about a year or two prior to leaving, and have now added this new shop with a lot more photographs than before. All of my photos are from RL, as you can see.
How does Second Life support your art practice?
Well, it's funny you ask that. I was actually talking to Carlotta about her own gallery tonight to get some ideas. SL has the marketplace, of course, but for the most part it's really up to me to do the marketing and finding an audience. Carlotta has been here a long time as well, and is one of the few artists still doing art in SL. There used to be a lot more than there is today. I think she has a following, but it's hard to tell if it's her art or her creations in the store that drive traffic. Early on, this was a popular place to do a lot of creating. It was an empty slate. But I think that after a while the focus started to shift from the fantastic to the more mundane. It's still a place to create things, but I don't think the audience for art is as large as it used to be.
Is making art within Second Life economically sustainable?
I know one of our community members who does animations makes a pretty good amount of money each year. But that's something that most users want to buy. I don't expect to make much of anything here. It's more for fun than a profit. If you want to make Lindens, you have to produce something people want to buy. And yes, it used to be that people could run actual businesses in here. I'm not really sure if that's true today. Reuters, I think, used to have an office here. And it was supposed to be the virtual world for people to meet up for meetings and such. But I don't really know if that's the way it is today. There is a lot of role-playing here. I know when I started there were a lot of communities around different themes. Also, there are a lot of kitchen sets that feature a lot of animations for couples and families. That seems to be something going on now more than before. You can definitely be whomever you want in here, and some of us choose to just be who we are, although a lot younger looking and probably a lot better looking as well. I have one friend who knows what SL is in RL, no one else does. Some people who learn about it think it's a waste of time. I live a real life, have a job, volunteer in my community. These photos represent about 10 years of my work. When I got everything up, I stood back and thought, maybe I could really do this in RL. So I'm starting to look at the possibility that this could be real as well.